Peter Parker's life has never been simple, but things have been spiraling out of control lately. Ever since his mutation began to change, his powers have started behaving in ways he doesn't understand. His strength, reflexes, and senses are all still there, but something deeper within him feels unstable. His DNA is mutating again, and for the first time, he's genuinely scared. Dr. Kurt Connors had warned him that these genetic changes might get worse, but Peter hoped it wouldn't come to that. Now, the signs are impossible to ignore. Desperate for answers, Peter decides that if anyone could understand what's happening to him, it would be Professor Charles Xavier. After all, he has dedicated his life to studying and helping people with mutations. So, he sets out for Xavier's school for gifted youngsters, hoping to seek help and figure out a cure before he suddenly mutates into a Mexican, or even worse, an Indian. When Peter finally reaches the mansion grounds as Spider-Man, things go wrong almost immediately. The moment he lands, the building's high-tech security system detects him as an intruder. Despite his spidey sense tingling, metal claws spring out from nowhere and wrap tightly around him before he can even react. He then gets dragged into a containment chamber where he's bundled with a metallic straitjacket. He struggles to break free, but the mechanical grips are far too strong, and before he can make sense of what's happening, he gets confronted by none other than the X-Men.
Okay, Spidey. Next time, use the front door.
Surprised to suddenly see Spider-Man in their mansion, Wolverine assumes he is some kind of spy sent to infiltrate their base. While he and the others try to interrogate him, Rouge, who has obviously been clap-deprived, flirts with him, telling him how hungry she is for some spider dye. Wolverine also steps forward and shares his plans about digging in him, but Peter snaps. He breaks free from his restraints, shoots his webs at the X-Men, and escapes before they get to set themselves free.
Nice. I come to the peaceful countryside, and I wind up in the Pentagon.
Crawling across the unfamiliar hallways of the mansion with the X-Men on his tail, Spider-Man almost gets squished like your GPA during finals week, but thanks to his spider sense, he manages to make it out. He is shortly cornered into a room with many doors, so he banks on his terrible luck as he heads into one of them. The room leads him to an exit, but he realizes his spidey sense keeps tingling at every step he takes. Back in the mansion, the X-Men remark that what Spider-Man thinks is an exit is actually just the X-Men's training facility that runs on simulations. Worse still, the difficulty level was left at the maximum level by the person who used it last. In the training room, Spider-Man gets confronted by massive Sentinel robots, which suddenly start to attack. He does his best to fight back, but the robots humble him. The X-Men pull up and change the battle dynamics, but they too are not enough to take down the bots Spidey was trying to solo, so they shut down the simulation.
Sorry, mon frere, but Gambit see no future for you in the cards.
At that moment, Professor Xavier enters the chamber, confronting Spider-Man, who explains the whole situation to him. He explains that his mutation is progressing uncontrollably, and that he fears he's turning into something less than human. Xavier listens intently, but responds with a perspective that Peter didn't expect. He explains that his mission has never been to cure mutations, but to help mutants understand and accept who they are. Every mutation, he says, is unique, and while it may come with challenges, it also defines who a person becomes. Spider-Man, however, finds this difficult to accept. He doesn't see his mutation as a gift, but as something that could destroy him. Frustrated and disappointed, he tells Xavier that he can't just sit back and accept something that's actively ruining his life. Feeling misunderstood, Peter storms out of the mansion. Jubilee tries to stop him because she believes he'd make a formidable ally, but Wolverine intercepts her, telling her people like him would be better off on their own. Meanwhile, Beast, who had been quietly observing the conversation, decides to go after him, ignoring Wolverine's warnings. In another segment in town, Dr. Herbert Landon, a popular researcher, meets up with Hobgoblin in an old factory.
I can't let him have my technology.
Oh, spare me the sob story.
Hobgoblin found out that Landon had been trying to double-cross their boss, Kingpin, so he had asked for a bribe to keep his mouth shut. Landon gives him a box which is meant to contain the agreed amount of money and immediately exits the premises. Unknown to Hobgoblin, Landon had put a bomb in the box. He detonates it, causing a massive explosion. Hobgoblin manages to survive the impact, so he reaches out to Kingpin and snitches on Landon while still leaving out the part about the betrayal. On his way back home, Landon receives a call from Kingpin asking for updates on his research, so he heads to his lab to reveal his latest research work. After a long night, Beast finally catches up to Spider-Man in the middle of the woods and tells him there might still be hope. According to Beast, there's a scientist named Dr. Herbert Landon at the Brand Corporation who has been developing a serum that could potentially reverse genetic mutations. Peter then immediately takes off, leaving Beast behind. Meanwhile, a group of men who had been watching them secretly and were under orders to capture a mutant make their move when Spider-Man leaves. While they surround him and start to attack, Beast fights back and tries to escape, but the men use their number advantage and technological devices to knock him out and capture him.
A real live mutant.
Later that night, Peter heads to Mary Jane's house and spies on her from a nearby tree through her window. Seeing how effortlessly fine she's looking, his body starts to tingle, so he immediately leaves the area before he ends up failing like the rest of you losers. Meanwhile, the X-Men suspect that something fishy must have happened to Beast, so Wolverine sets out to investigate.
Beast. Crap. That punk's gonna pay.
The following day, Landon holds a conference to share his findings and intentions to reverse mutant DNA and make them normal again. Peter makes sure to attend the conference. During the conference, while Landon yaps on with the type of boring pep talk you only hear in biology class, Peter feels his spidey sense tingle.
Verge of one of the greatest discoveries.
All of a sudden, Hobgoblin bursts in and tries to attack the Doctor, but Peter suits up and confronts him. Hobgoblin, realizing he can't win against the infamous Spider-Man, changes strategies and focuses on destroying the building. As a hero, Spider-Man does his best to stop the building from crushing the people in it while they run to safety. Hobgoblin then escapes, but tells Landon he'll be receiving a quadruple of the intended amount to stay silent this time. Noticing how much Spider-Man is struggling to keep the people safe, Landon's assistant suggests that they help him out, but Landon tells her there's nothing they can do as they escape. When everyone escapes, Spider-Man almost gets crushed, but some invisible force holds the building long enough for him to escape, to his surprise. He wonders what it could be, but realizes he has to find the Goblin first. Later that night, Beast wakes up in a cage. He then gets confronted by Landon, who happens to be an old colleague from when he was still human. Landon then reveals his true intentions. He doesn't intend to save mutants. Instead, he has combined his research with Beast's former research to create some kind of chemical to unalive all the mutants in the world. He intends to use Beast as the test subject.
Nothingness. The human race will be purified.
Elsewhere in the city, Spider-Man catches up with Hobgoblin and overpowers him easily. Asking for his intentions with Landon, Spider-Man is shocked to learn that Landon has a secret agenda to eradicate all mutants, and Hobgoblin is only trying to extort money from him. Before he can process anything, Wolverine shows up asking what Spider-Man did to Beast. Confused, Spider-Man asks what he's talking about, but Wolverine suddenly starts to attack. While he struggles to defend himself, Hobgoblin tries to use the opportunity to take them both down. Outside the Brand Corporation building, Spider-Man tries to convince Wolverine that he has nothing to do with Beast's disappearance. But Wolverine, being the hot-headed short king he is, keeps swinging those claws like Spidey just stole his lunch money. Above them, Hobgoblin flies around on his glider, cackling and throwing pumpkin bombs like he's hosting his own chaotic fireworks show.
Well, anyway.
Spider-Man gets fed up and webs Hobgoblin's hand directly to one of his bombs, effectively turning him into a self-destruct waiting to happen. However, the Goblin's not done being petty. He quickly redirects several of the building's surveillance cameras to capture footage of Wolverine and Spider-Man fighting. When the feed reaches Landon inside, without hesitation, he activates the Brand Corporation's defense systems.
Missiles locked on target.
Automated turrets and missiles start firing at the two heroes. Wolverine might heal fast, but he's not fireproof, so Spider-Man dives in to save him, swinging them both out of the explosion's path. After pulling him to safety, Spider-Man insists again that he isn't the enemy. He explains that he met Beast earlier in the woods, and Beast told him about Dr. Landon's so-called project to reverse mutant DNA. However, Spider-Man left before he could help. Wolverine, not fully trusting the webhead, warns him that if he's lying, he'll regret it. Still, he agrees to team up. With that uneasy alliance formed, the two set out to find Beast and uncover what Landon's really planning.
If you're lying, you're fillet a spider, pal.
I get the picture, Wolvie.
Meanwhile, deep inside the Brand Corporation, where Beast is being held captive, while Landon is busy elsewhere, Beast tries to reason with Landon's assistant, Dr. Mariah, hoping she might help him escape. Unfortunately, he quickly realizes she's also convinced that mutants are a disease that must be eliminated. She even remarks that at least unaliving mutants would put an end to their sufferings. Elsewhere, Spider-Man and Wolverine sneak into the Brand Corporation building through the ventilation ducts. They move quietly at first, but the plan doesn't stay clean for long. Spider-Man uses his webbing to neutralize guards without causing serious harm, while Wolverine goes full feral mode, taking down anyone who gets in their way. They make steady progress toward the research sectors. At the same time, Hobgoblin slips into another part of the building. He locates the main computer holding all of Landon's genetic research. After downloading the files onto a disk, he corrupts the system to make sure no one else can access them.
Greetings. Your computer's data has just been deleted.
Back in the main lab, Landon prepares to test his formula on Beast. Before he can begin, he gets a report that Spider-Man and Wolverine have infiltrated the facility. Furious, he sends guards to intercept them. But the guards are no match. Wolverine tears through them like wet paper while Spider-Man follows closely. When they finally burst into the main lab, Wolverine, after taking down the present guards, charges at Beast's cage to set him free but gets electrocuted, nearly falling into the chemical vat below. Beast, still restrained, manages to catch him just in time, preventing both of them from taking a toxic bath. Landon tries to take advantage of the chaos and attempts to dump them both into the vat, but Spider-Man swings in and destroys the control panel.
Hey, Beast, you need a hand?
Before they can even breathe, Hobgoblin enters the lab, eager to stir up more chaos. He starts hurling bombs at them, forcing everyone to scatter. Landon fights back, but in the confusion, the situation spirals out of control. Beast and Wolverine nearly fall again, but Spider-Man catches them just before they fall. Meanwhile, word reaches Kingpin about Landon's true motives. Kingpin had been funding Landon's work under the assumption that he was creating genetically enhanced mutants to serve as unstoppable enforcers, obedient, powerful, and loyal to all his demands, including the kinky ones. However, he learns that Landon's actual plan is to wipe mutants off the face of the planet, which includes any that Kingpin might have planned to control. Enraged, he cuts ties with Landon, realizing the scientist has gone rogue.
Now I have this!
Back at the lab, Hobgoblin reveals that he now has all of Landon's research stored on a disk. He mocks the scientist, saying the only way to get it back is by calling him Daddy. Landon, furious, lunges at him, trying to retrieve the data. In the scuffle, Hobgoblin deliberately trips both Landon and the disc into the chemical vat. Spider-Man, still holding the mutant steady, tries to intervene, but Hobgoblin turns on him. Before he can do anything reckless, Dr. Mariah fires a blaster shot that narrowly misses Hobgoblin's head, forcing him to retreat.
So am I!
Wolverine finally regains consciousness, and with Beast's help, gets them both to solid ground. The relief is short-lived as moments later, the vat erupts as Landon emerges, horribly transformed. His entire body mutates into a massive, monstrous creature that feeds on electricity. His voice turns distorted and his mind breaks under the transformation. Mariah, like every other blonde woman in a horror movie, tries to reason with him. Instead, the creature grabs her and storms out of the lab, smashing through the walls and heading into the city.
For the pain!
Absorbing every power source it finds. Wolverine, overconfident as usual, tries to stop him, but gets humbled effortlessly. As the creature rampages through the city, draining power lines and terrorizing bystanders, news spreads fast.
And the police are unable to stop it.
The X-Men quickly arrive, realizing it's Landon, mutated by his own experiment. Together with Spider-Man, they begin strategizing how to stop him without causing excessive damage or pain. Meanwhile, Mariah is still trapped in Landon's grasp as he climbs a skyscraper, trying to absorb an entire electrical grid. Storm and Gambit manage to get close enough to pull her free while the others prepare their plan. The X-Men use their Blackbird jet to lure Landon away, attaching cables to him in hopes of transporting him somewhere isolated. For a moment, it works, but Landon's massive weight and growing size cause the jet to lose control. With the craft seconds from crashing, Mariah suddenly manifests powerful telekinetic abilities, stabilizing the jet and protecting everyone on board. It's then revealed that she's secretly a mutant herself, one who's been suppressing her powers and working on Landon's project in hopes of finding a cure. Spider-Man realizes she was also the mysterious force who saved him from being crushed like the itsy-bitsy spider earlier during the press conference. As the dust settles, the X-Men manage to subdue Landon, who reverts to a weakened state. Medics arrive to take him away for treatment. Mariah, still shaken, confesses that she only wanted to help mutants live normal lives, but now sees the cost of that obsession. Beast assures her that there's no shame in being different. He reminds her that he once felt the same self-loathing until Professor Xavier taught him to embrace who he was. The X-Men then thank Spider-Man for his help and apologize for misjudging him earlier. They tell him that he's not alone, and that if he ever needs allies, they'll be there. Spider-Man nods, quietly proud, but also ready to swing back to his own chaotic life. Thank you for sticking to the end of my video. Please do me the biggest favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video.